I will no longer be intimidated.
Running code 3. 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 Running code 3.
But right now I'm talking about another run. 120 and a 25 to have more fun.
We got a hostage situation.
I'm doing a series on YouTube. I think you'd be very interested in seeing it.
Make Steve Lake's signs disappear. And you don't have to comment on that and say you're not associated with or anything. I'm just telling you. I'm just saying if them disappeared, that might be something. I'm just telling you. I'm not asking you to do anything.
You do not have my permission to use or distribute this video for any reason whatsoever. Copyright 2020 Star Astronomer. All rights reserved. You only have my permission to share the web link to this video. Web links generally start out with HTTPS or HTTP //www, and then the rest of it would be to this video, the particular link. So I have complete ownership, Star Astronomer. But as far as sharing this on any media, social or otherwise, please do share the web link. Let people know what is going on. Music used with kind permission by Menace. Copyright 2004. This video contains email documentation along with audio documentation that exposes issues and tactics from our boys the trustees. Please pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is video 3 in a series of issues being exposed about Chief Terry A. Mitchell. This video will be about the Chief's little puppets, aka the Township Trustees. My attorney said don't use the word corruption, so I won't use that word. You will see how our little boy, Chief Terry A. Mitchell, has been able to do as he has all these years, unrestrained. It appears the trustees have been Mitchell's little puppets, just going along and looking the other way, just deaf, dumb, and blind to reality. My attorney says to not to use the word corruption, but to use the bigger issues. Little Moose says she smells dirty rats, corruption, coercion, lies, bogus reports, intimidation, ignorance to the max, major cover-ups, illegal tactics, and a boatload of hypocrisy. Township Terry, when you played dodgeball in grade school, was the ball always thrown at you? Warning, this video contains some swearing. Viewer discretion is advised. God bless all the police officers that do their job in a legal manner by following the law. The answer isn't defunding the police. The answer is defunding the scum within the department, as in you're fired. Getting rid of the police officers that lie on police reports. that lie under oath, that want to create their own rules and regulations, and that do not work within the system, within the law.
In my opinion, that is abuse of power.
These are the trustees in question: Chad Gargas, Mike Diekman, and let's not forget our little sleepy Joe Badger. Let's take a look at the issues with them. My attorney says to not use the word corruption, but to use the bigger issues. Next, we will take a look at 3 emails from Chad and I. Everything in the emails and from my conversation with him are my opinions. So the subject was YouTube video, and the date was August 18th of 2020, which was a Tuesday. And I sent this email to Chad after my conversation with him that evening. Chad, here's the link, and that's the link to the first video in my series. Please email me about body cams and dash cams, especially as it pertains to Terry A. Mitchell. But as a department, do all police vehicles have dash cams? Do the officers have body cams? And then, are you looking into having body cams as mandatory? So that was my question to him at that time. And he said that he would respond and let me know that he received the email and let me know about the body and dash cams. This is the response from Chad Gargas to my email to him the evening before. His response was on Wednesday, August 19th, 2020. And he says, I received your email. The police vehicles do have dash cams. We are going to discuss body cams at our next meeting if you would like to attend. Very interesting, isn't it? That I talked to him about the, and I won't use the word corruption because my attorney said the better thing to say would be the bigger problem, and talked to him over the phone about body cams and the need to have, and I'm not going to say the word corrupt, but the big problem, Terry A. Mitchell should have one on every side of his body as he moves. So I thought that was interesting right there. They're going to discuss body cams at the next meeting. So that is refreshing. Things might be changing. Now let's look at the next few lines here. I've learned to forgive your enemies as it messes with their heads. It sounds like enough time has passed since your encounters with Chief Mitchell, and that should be a very small font there when you said Chief, Chad, that you should give it a try. Life is too short to hold a grudge. Now, do you guys see how he's deflecting? He's not even addressing the issues that I talked to him before and on the previous evening. So, again, we have our head trustee who does not want to take on his job, tries to throw it off on other people, and I'm not going to use the word corrupt. I'm going to say the big problem of Terry A. Mitchell, and that's how he does it. Okay, that's how things have been done for a long time. Okay, because they have the power in between their ears, and that's how they're going to do it. And what are you going to do about it? Okay, so people have to stand up and not allow stuff like this to be said. Okay, you need to address the problems as people have reported them. And again, when you see the audio coming up, he doesn't address anything I've said. Now let's study this next line a little bit, boys and girls. My attorney advised me to no longer have individual contact with you. I am not able to do anything as an individual. newsflash there, Mr. Chad. You haven't done much as an individual to begin with. It takes 2 trustees to make a decision. So, now, I don't know who his attorney is, whether it's the prosecutor or his own individual attorney. That we don't know. But now, instead of taking on the questions, we're just going to dismiss you. As I said before, we don't want to hear from you, okay? Now, I've never had a problem in the past with calling and talking to any trustee that I may have called. Even though it's been very few times, I've never had that problem. Now, all of a sudden, they're not going to want to take my call. So when you expose, and I won't use the word corruption, my attorney said bigger issues, when I am exposing the bigger issues, they don't want to deal with it. If you wish to address the Board of Trustees, you can attend our meetings on the second and fourth Mondays of the month at 7:30 p.m. I am attaching a citizen's complaint form for you to have in case you have any issues in the future, and you can fill it out, mail it in, email it, drop it off, or fax it in. And more deflection. I have also learned to love thy neighbor as thyself. It works. Yeah, you ought to put that on Mitchell's forehead. Put that in big old dark black ink right on his forehead. Because that is a good one. I'll agree with you right there. Okay? Terry A. Mitchell. And again, I'm not going to use the word corrupt. I'm going to say the big issue. Terry A. Mitchell right there should have that. It should just be permanently put, even on the side of his car. Okay? On his forehead and car. Shouldn't leave home without it. And he ends by saying, you and Moose take care and God bless. Chad. Well, thank you, Chad. Much appreciated for a response that meant nothing, really. That you didn't say you're going to address any issues, and you'll see how he is when I bring up the audio soon. Very soon.
Yeah, well, the guy that I talked to was like, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time with the really wrong cop.
This is my reply back to Chad on the same date, August 19, 2020, Wednesday. Thanks, Chad. I thank you for your reply. Notice I didn't say help, because there was none. What do you mean it takes 2 trustees? Never did before. This is what I am talking about, corruption. How can the public believe anything that comes out of your office? Just another way to keep people quiet and not have to deal with them. Never had a problem calling and speaking to one trustee at a time before. Could it be this video is exposing corruption? Please don't fear the truth, Chad. Not everyone has time to go to a meeting. You guys know that, and that is how you can dismiss issues. Does this, it takes 2 trustees to make a decision, apply to everyone in the township, or just the guy who did a YouTube video that exposed issues? No decisions were needed when I spoke to you, Chad, only a conversation about issues. And that's what that goes down to here, is just bringing up issues and asking stuff, you know. Now they don't even want to, you know, there was no decisions being made when I spoke to him. And most of the time there aren't decisions, they're just questions, okay? But they don't want to do that anymore. And let me go on. In the email it says, I want an answer on this, Chad. 1, does this apply to everyone? 2, does this just apply to me? 3, is this policy stated in writing for all to see? Well, we know that ain't the case, because the night before I talked to him. 4, was this policy, and again I use the word policy, but was this policy just made up after the video? Appears so, as you talked to me in the past, and last evening with no problem. 5. Is this being applied across the board? So in other words, if you're going to raise, and I'm not going to use the word corruption, we'll say issues, if you're going to bring up issues that maybe they don't want to hear about or want to sweep under the rug, do they just dismiss you and tell you, make you go through hoops? So that's the big question, okay? Says further, feel free to have your attorney answer, okay? So in other words, you don't want to talk to me, well, your attorney can answer this then. As a resident, I have the right to make sure things are done in an equitable manner to all, not just those you want to shut up. Okay, so in other words, we don't want to hear from you, so we're going to make you go through hoops. We're going to tell you to go pound sand. Okay, that doesn't work too well. And further, it says, an individual should be able to call and speak to a trustee. I know this because of my video and not wanting what many people characterize as corruption. Right there in my email. Corruption. Now this is just what I'm telling him. My feelings. Being put out for all to see, Chad. In the meantime, Chief, very small font, Terry A. Mitchell, continues to do the things he always does with the trustees' approval. And you trustees are not and will not address the issues. Small town corruption, at its best, Chad. Let me repeat that. Small town corruption at its best, Chad. So I just read to you my emails, the 3 emails, mine to him to me, and my response back. So I felt that I needed to put that in there to document.
Yeah, like I was like, oh yeah, man, the cops are corrupt out here. Yeah, Pat and Sons, they're buddies. He probably gets a kickback. You should see the sign over there. Yeah, everybody knows it out here.
Following is my conversation with Trustee Chad Gargas, the chairman. Looks like our little boy, Chief Mitch, isn't the only tool.
We talked to Terry a little bit, and I don't think it's going to happen again, but if you want to make a formal complaint, you have to come to a meeting and put it in we have to record it in the minutes. Only if that's when he's on police duty. If he's on personal time, we can't really dictate that, but I know it's uncalled for, but
So
that's where we're at.
So when he's in his police vehicle, he can't flip it off. But if he's on his own time, is that okay to do that though? As a chief of police, you're saying that's to the standards of your standards, that a police officer can flip somebody off at any time? There's people that get fired from just a regular job for posting things, and they just get fired from the regular job. Terry Mitchell is the chief of police, and you're telling me...
I don't think it's appropriate, but we also can't monitor everybody's
Got it.
move every minute of the day.
Chad, you with the program? Companies fire high-profile people for inappropriate activity all the time. Terry A. Mitchell is supposed to be the chief, and as a high-profile person and as the chief, he should follow moral standards. And you have just said that you are not holding him to any moral standard as a chief of police. Chad, seriously? That bullshit excuse actually spewed from your lips? So, boys and girls, we now know how our favorite chief retains his job. Need I spell it out?
Did Mitchell admit to flipping people off?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and
look at my information. That was a couple months ago, and a lot of shit's gone in the world since then, so I do not know for positive.
Chad, just how many people are talking to you about Chief Mitch giving the middle finger? You had that many you can't keep track of them all? How do you forget an answer from little Mitch as to whether he admitted to it or not?
Is it acceptable for you as the, I guess you're the head trustee, is it acceptable to you to have a chief of police or even a police officer for the township to flip people off, whether they're in their own vehicle or not? Is it acceptable?
I don't think it's acceptable, no.
Great answer, Chad. Now all you have to do is cut those ropes our little Chief Terry A. Mitchell uses to control you, allegedly, as a puppet.
I could document in a letter, correct?
Yeah, that would be better than nothing.
Because I've heard things about Mitchell. Well, I've had them happen to me. Okay, and I don't know how he keeps his job. I don't know how he bamboozles the trustees. I'm going to be real clear when I talk. I don't know. I have not ran into anybody that thinks he's worth a damn, and I'm just telling you.
How does Chief Terry A. Mitchell keep his job? Just listen to this talk. Chad, you and past trustees are the problem.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said that you have heard other things about him. You told me that.
Yes, from other people, but nobody's ever called to make a formal complaint as a resident complaining to the trustees about the police chief.
Well, you say you've heard from other people. That must have been a complaint, or were they attaboys, or were they complaints about him?
Half and half. Half were a lot of good things that he's done, and half were, well, he might have pissed them off, but that was about it.
Does Cop Terry A. Mitchell have a body cam? Yes or no?
I do not know.
You don't know. Well, hang on a second, Chad. The most important thing, you're not sure if your police officers have a body cam, correct? You don't know? I mean, you don't know?
We talk about police business at the meetings, but I don't know if body cams were purchased before I was elected.
All right. How about dash cams in the cars? Do you know if they even have a dash cam?
I'm pretty certain they do have dash cams, yes.
Okay.
What planet do you live on, Chad? Let's just start out slow and see what you do know. You are no leader, Chad.
Now, is that kind of stuff saved? How is that archived? Because you can get that with the Freedom of Information Act. How is that? Is that archived so they can go back to a given date, which isn't that long? It's only a few months. That can go back, and that. I'm going to ask you, how, if somebody wants that, is that put on a CD and then mailed to their home? How would one get that? Do you know?
I don't know because I've never had anybody ask, so I would have to check with Barry and ask him how that works. So I believe you have to make a formal request or records request. Right.
Yeah, I know that. Somebody told me that they actually go to the Attorney General too, but I don't know. But I know you have to request it, and you can't just, you have to have a formal request for it. But
yeah, I do know that, but beyond that, I don't know.
So my question is then, Chad, the dash cam, how do I want to say? Should I use the word lie? If the dash cam is on, it cannot...
I think it's running anytime the cars are running, yes.
Okay.
Oops. I went to an important call, but I intentionally turned off the car to disable the dash cam. Don't want my activities, and we're not going to use corruption. We're going to say activities actually on the record. Who might we expect to do this?
How about the body cam? You're not sure if they're... So the question, I guess, should be more... Because I would think you would know, Chad, if you had a body cam, I'm sure you would know. It sounds like they don't have it. You knew right away they have dash cams. You're pretty damn sure of it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But body cam, now let me ask you a question, and this is how I feel, and I think it works either way. This is just my opinion. I think body cams should be mandatory, should be a federal, because if something occurs between an officer and an individual, if that body cam ain't on, I mean, you hear on TV, oh, we forgot to turn it on, or well, yeah, checks in the mail. They should be mandatory.
It helps document things.
Yeah, it keeps both sides on an even keel. It protects both sides. I think they should be mandatory, and as far as I'm concerned, I think that's money well spent, is to have body cam, especially on Terry Mitchell. There should be one on each side of him, every side that he rotates. But
I tried to figure out mathematically how many body cams Chief Terry A. Mitchell would require using simple math to cover his entire perimeter. Turns out I had to use a more complex math, using spherical trigonometry, like that used to navigate around the Earth.
But some of the shit that Terry's done, most of it, has all been malicious.
All right, now we have a word here, psychopath. Now, in front of you are numerous pictures of some very shady characters that may or may not match the word psychopath. Now, your job, should you care to do it, is to look over those pictures that are in front of you. Take your time. I want you to pick the picture up that matches this word, and when you get the picture, then lay it on top of the word psychopath.
Oh, that one's easy. Everybody knows that one. But I think I'm going to pass this time.
And there's other people that I wanted to talk to, and they're afraid. I'm not afraid, okay? Because if you've got the truth, there's nothing to be afraid of. And the thing is, Terry Mitchell is the most corrupt. He is the most malicious person that I or tons of people have ever met. And he does not work, in a lot of people's opinion, okay, he's not working within the law. I don't know how he gets away with what he does, but he has. Okay? He has. Okay? And it's time to expose these people.
One more thing, Little Moose wants you to know to never use the word corruption when you can just say the bigger issue is.
You get the son of a bitch out of there! Goddamn son of a bitch! You rot in hell!
Alright, this will end video number 3. Stay tuned for video number 4, which is part 2 of this video when our foolish boy Chad Gargas blurts out a revelation as to how he wants the Chief Terry A. Mitchell to leave his job.
Running code 3. 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 Running code 3.
Yeah.
You're all fired. All 4 are fired.
Is this a picture of the tool that you had to deal with?
Yes, that is the tool.
Like I said, it's a civil matter. I put in a report what you told me, and I put in a report what he said. That's the end of it.
Your Honor, I'll admit that based on the testimony, it does appear as though the state has a problem.
Yeah, like I was like, oh yeah, man, the cops are corrupt out here. You should see the sign over there. Yeah, they Everybody knows it out here.
Goddamn son of a bitch! You rot in hell!